All right, happy Friday to you. Happy Friday late morning. Christmas is almost upon us. We also are having, by the way, the last official, day of fall, because tomorrow morning is the winter solstice. So we'll talk a little bit about that here coming up in just a moment. But, look, I hope you had a great week. Hope you got all your Christmas shopping or holiday shopping, done. If you are doing some last minute shopping or activities this weekend, I'll tell you it is going to be chilly. That's one of the two main things I need you to know about the forecast. Is we're looking for lows tonight that could get down into the 30s, probably a couple of just barely frosty spots as you get off to the north of town. And then we're going to look ahead at that Christmas forecast as well. But I wanted to start out talking here about winter. Are we in winter yet or not? I mean, look, it's already been cold out there, right? So is winter coming, or are we already in winter? Well, it depends. So technically, right now, we're already in what's called meteorological winter. Well, what does that mean? Well, we separate these into blocks of 3. The 3 coldest months of the year are December, January, and February. So in terms of forecasting, that is winter time, the meteorological winter. Now, as far as the solstices and the equinoxes, this has to do with the shortest day of the year, the longest day of the year, and the days in which we have exactly 12 hours of daylight and sunlight. You probably hear us talking about those all the time. Well, those mark the official starts of the seasons. Now, our planet, our friend the Earth, is tilted 23.5 degrees from our orbit around the sun. All of the planets are tilted in one way or the other. Some planets, like Uranus, are like on their side, and they kind of rotate, in a completely way that would be crazy for us to imagine on Earth. But what the tilting does is it gives us our seasons, which means that as we orbit around the Earth, some parts of the year, the top part, or the north part, I should say, of the planet is facing toward the sun, and the other half of the orbit, the southern part of the Earth, is facing toward the sun. We are on the left side of the screen right now, approaching December the 21st, the winter solstice, and that's the point that the sun shines the farthest south in terms of latitude. So tomorrow will be the longest day of the year for the southern hemisphere, and you'll see places like Buenos Aires and, let's say, Cape Town, South Africa, and maybe Melbourne, Australia. They'll have very long amounts of sunlight, whereas places like Minneapolis and London and maybe in northern parts of Alaska, they'll have very little sunlight. The Earth's axis, since it's tilted 23.5 degrees away, means that the sun is actually pointing 23.5 degrees south latitude. So where we are, the main thing you'll notice is that we have the sun is a little lower in the sky, and it's not up for as long as I would personally like it to be up. But it is beaming out there right now. We don't notice it as dramatically here in Houston because we're at 30 degrees latitude. It's, things are like kind of tropical around here most of the year. Right now, we have hazy sunshine and a current temp of 64. Now, we were down in the 40s earlier this morning, so we're kind of moving in a more pleasant direction. That dew point value of 45 is very dry, so the air is going to be super dry out there today, actually really pleasant. We do have a decent breeze right now. The breeze is probably going to pick up even a little bit more as we head into the afternoon. Should get a little windier. Right now, we're still hanging in there at 58 degrees for you in the Woodlands. You'll warm it up to about 65 or so today. Channelview is also checking in at 58. To the south of Houston, we've gotten a little bit warmer. Missouri City's at 65. Angleton is at 65. Pearland 64. Really pretty pleasant. Let's talk about future temperatures. So as we head into this afternoon, we should warm it up to the upper 60s. It's just going to be a nice day. The average for this time of the year is 65. We'll be a little bit above that. The air nice and dry. As we head into the late part of the day, after the sun goes down, it is going to get cold kind of quickly. So keep that in mind for anything you got planned, outdoors with the kids or with yourself or whatever you're going to do, later on this evening. It's going to get cold pretty quickly. So by 7 p.m., temperatures ranging from about 50 to 55 across most of the area. By 10 p.m. tonight, maybe you're going out for dinner or something like that, or, late, meeting some friends out. It is going to be cold. We're talking about temperatures in the 40s by 10 o'clock tonight. Now, by tomorrow morning, this is the main thing I need you to know. Pay attention to some of these temperatures. Now, of course, none of these is going to be, 100% accurate, but it gives us a good idea of what to expect here. Notice Cleveland, Texas, 32. Cold Spring, 34. Huntsville, 34. College Station, 33. compared to, let's say, 37 in Angleton. All of those temperatures are definitely cold, no doubt about it, but obviously the ones that are closer to 32 or the low 30s are where we have a little bit better chance that you'll see some frost forming or just a very, very light freeze early tomorrow morning. So if you live in those areas there where we're seeing those temperatures getting down, mostly outside of the urban areas of Houston, you might want to cover the plants, and please, man, it should go without saying, make sure that the pets have a nice warm place to stay, either in the house or if you have a strictly outdoor animal, you just have to make sure that they have a warm shelter to stay in. All right. Well, we don't get snow around here very often, right? When we do, it's kind of exciting. Folks up to the north in Minnesota, they get a lot of it, and they just recently got slammed by more yesterday. Now, here's a word from our sister station in Minneapolis, St. Paul, about how you can stay safe if you have to drive in anything like this around here.
Yeah, there's no surprise. It snows in Minnesota in December. That should not be catching anybody off guard, but for some reason, the first big snowfall of the year does tend to test drivers. Here's a look at the current road conditions. It snowed all morning throughout rush hour, and that was really the problem, was the timing of this snow event. Now the plows have had a chance to clear off most of the highways, drop some salt, temperatures just about 24 degrees. It's actually going to warm up before Christmas, so it's possible this could all be melted and we could still be debating having a white Christmas. But take a look at how things looked early this morning as this clipper moved through the area, dropping between 4 and 6 inches of snow, really testing drivers' patience. Even though they're used to getting snow in Minnesota, again, it always comes as a surprise. In fact, we had a problem with our wipers all morning long. It just couldn't keep up. They kept icing up. Finally got a tip from one viewer who told us to put the visor down, and that kind of captured some of the heat behind the windshield. You learn something new every day. Bill Keller, Fox 9.
Good tip. All right. Well, I forgot to mention it's Furry Friends Friday. You know that. Furry Friends Friday on Forecasting with Friends. It's not as fun when Allison's not here or JD's not here, but anyway, we're going to do it. So we do have some animal stories and some happy ones too. So just a week before Christmas, a soldier got one of the best gifts he could imagine, being reunited with a dog that he helped rescue while he was deployed overseas. Fox's Kim Loeffler was there for the reunion and tells us about the organization that made it possible.
So lucky. I can't tell you how happy I am to have him here.
Army specialist Landon Ganade never thought he'd be able to bring the dog he saved in Kosovo home to Georgia.
And he's like, I kid you not, like a spear, almost like a dodgeball. Like if you could pick him up like a circle, is the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. Most adorable puppy ever.
He says locals would often leave puppies at their camp, and one of them, who he named Aleppo after a nearby town there, wouldn't leave his side.
It was a shock to me to see how close I got to Aleppo, because I didn't go in looking for a connection. I had dogs back at home. In due time, I was like, I love this dog.
Ganade says they'd work with the dogs, teaching them tricks and getting them used to a leash. Time, he says, he cherished.
When those days were hard, I won't lie, having Aleppo by my side, it helped a ton. Just being able to pet and love on an animal.
When Ganade's deployment ended in October, the nonprofit Paws of War stepped in, working for 2 months to bring Aleppo to Georgia, even getting him his own passport.
Aleppo! What's going on, buddy?
And finally reuniting the pair this week.
What's going on, buddy?
Trauma of them having to leave an animal behind. We don't want them to ever have to make that sacrifice.
Ganade says returning from deployment can be hard.
And then all of a sudden you come home and it's just like, you're on your own again.
But he says having Aleppo by his side to support him again makes it that much easier.
It's comforting. It's awesome. Because I'm not going through it alone. He's right there beside me.
Wonderful story. Well, staying on that topic here on Furry Friends Friday, on Houston's morning show this week, we had a special guest join us in the studio, Crosby the therapy dog. Now let's take a listen of how he and other therapy dogs help children in the hospital.
Thanks for being here.
We're happy to be here.
Well, I've gotten to experience firsthand with my own children what a difference this makes. I'm sure you see day in and day out the joy and that it brings to these kiddos.
We truly do. It's impossible to put into words how life-changing he is. Just the moment he walks in, there's so many patients who maybe they haven't smiled since they've been admitted or they haven't laughed since they've been there, and so he really can bring that back to them in a way that nobody else can.
A big job, mister. Those eyes, so expressive.
How is he different than a therapy dog, you would say?
So Crosby went through 2 years of professional service dog training, and that was done basically from the moment he was born. He's been ready and working for this job to be able to do this. And so what makes him different is that he's able to use those tasks that he was trained in to motivate kids in settings that other therapy dogs just may not be trained for, such as working with a physical therapist, being able to encourage a kid to get up and walk after surgery, or being able to be there for a procedure when a kid might be crying after getting a poke. He's able to stay calm in those moments.
And he just puts up with the most adorable outfits ever. So that's really impressive as well, because we know a lot of dogs don't do that. You also have a new one. Tell me about Noelle.
We do. We have just welcomed Noelle, which we have a girl back, which is so amazing. We retired our last girl in May. And so for a while we had a boy band, like we like to call it, but we now have our lead girl back, and we're so excited to welcome her and her energy to our hospital and our team.
So how do dogs like Crosby, for example, how do they really help the patients there at the hospital?
They really come in as what I call like a non-judgmental presence. Crosby's not there to ask questions. He's not there to ask them to do hard things. He's there to just bring unconditional love. And so the way that he's able to break those walls that patients put up is just something that, like I said, nobody else can do. It's a job that he's made for and the best at in the hospital.
Well, we've seen just sit and down the incredible commands that he does. Can you show us how you're able to get this pulled off in some of the other ones?
I sure can. Crosby, can you shake my hand?
Oh, can we see? Oh, yeah, you can see that.
Good
okay.
job. Patient's favorite. Crosby, can you give me a fist bump? Good
job.
With his Crosby, can I have a high five? Yeah, right here. Put it there. Good job, buddy.
That's awesome.
And everybody's favorite with Crosby is that he loves to talk. Crosby, sit. But we like to use our inside voice. Can you give me a whisper? A whisper. Little one. Good job.
Oh, that is so sweet. Oh, I mean,
like a right treat now.
That just made me so happy. I can't imagine how a child reacts to that. I mean, that's incredible. Fun things to do for the kiddos.
I imagine this is a fulfilling job for you, obviously, to see the kids, but to work with the dogs. So you get the best of both worlds.
I truly do. It's one of those jobs that I think I always dreamed about, but wasn't sure I could ever get it, because your dream jobs sometimes feel far away. And so the moment I was matched with Crosby, I just knew that this was what I had been working for.
What is one of your favorite things about it all?
I think my favorite thing is seeing a parent tell me, you know, I haven't seen my kid smile, and I couldn't make them do it. I could have bought all the toys from the gift shop. I could have brought everything up, but I couldn't cross that line. And the second Crosby came in the room, they're beaming, and the parents just tell me how life-changing it is for them too.
This is a personal question for me, because I'm always curious. Does he live with you? Like, how does that go with facility dogs?
So Crosby and I, when we got matched, we are matched together forever. So his organization, Canine Companions, is able to train me for 2 weeks, and then they sent me home with him, and he became my dog. So we go home together, we cuddle on the couch just like anybody else does at home, and then we go to work every day. So I would say we're pretty close, because we spend a lot of time together.
All day together.
And you know, we hear a lot of times when if we're out and about in a store, because I'm sure he has to go everywhere with you, that we're not supposed to touch the service dogs. Does that rely to him, or is that different since his job is to give people love? Do you have to keep people away from him because he's working, so to speak?
So what's really interesting about Crosby is he doesn't have ADA rights, because he's not a service dog for me. So his rights are only in the hospital. So outside of the hospital, he doesn't wear his vest. He doesn't go anywhere
anything
with
goes.
me.
He gets to
anything
just be
goes.
a dog.
We talk about how he gets to be off just like everybody else does. He works Monday through Friday, and we always joke about his weekends being his rest time. So
and you're free.
He loves it. He loves to take naps, as you can see where he rests, and he loves to play with the ball. That would be his favorite time.
That's good to know, because now I know during commercial break I'm about to get a lot of snuggles.
Yes, he's a snuggler.
Thank you so much for coming, and Merry Christmas to you and this beauty.
Crosby.
I love him so much. Crosby, you're a good boy.
He says thank you very much.
Such a good boy.
All right, sticking on a holiday theme here. Nobody likes those porch pirates. I can't stand them. They're thieves. Come and steal your packages that you ordered for Christmas and so forth. But some can be more annoying than others. Dawn Timony with our sister station of Philadelphia has our story of what are being called the twerking porch pirates.
Gloucester Township Police say this crazy case falls in the "you can't make this stuff up" folder, and neighbors agree, hoping someone recognizes the brazen pair before they come back again.
Gloucester Township Police posting Ring camera video on social media of a suspect they've dubbed the naughty list package thief. You see him grab an Amazon package from in front of this Sicklerville townhome. Then a second suspect starts twerking in front of the Ring camera before the two take off.
They got a lot of gall, give them that, you know, just to walk up on someone's house, take their package.
It was last Monday night, just after 6:30, but that's just the start of this saga. Police say 2 days later, after the victims posted the twerking video on the Ring neighborhood app to warn others, the thief returns, holding up his phone, calling out the victims for posting the video.
Not cool at all. That's my on the internet.
Rob Ruggiero lives right across the street and has the same message for the thieves.
Not very cool. Not very cool at all.
Ruggiero had a package stolen last week. He's now having everything delivered to the Amazon locker at a nearby Wawa, but feels badly for his neighbors.
It's a little unsettling, you know. It's where you live, you know, so just coming back to your house and keep taunting you is really uncomfortable.
And get this, the bold thief even returning a third time, placing one of the stolen glasses, now broken, that was in the package, back on the front step.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this back.
It's wild. It just makes zero sense. Zero sense.
Just hoping that it wouldn't happen to me.
Ruthie Harris getting an Amazon delivery this evening. She lives in the same townhouse complex and heard all about the strange situation, but was even more stunned when she saw the Ring cam video herself.
Oh. Why would they want to do that? I think that's really crazy and ridiculous. Hopefully they will return all of the stuff that they stole. Come on, it's Christmas. Don't do that.
I'm sure the victims are just hoping for an end of the shenanigans and that this taunting twosome stays away for good.
I like how she used some self-censoring there to say you can't make this stuff up. I could have phrased it another way. Oh gosh. All right. Hey, if you want to take in the holiday season in a very, very, very cold way, here's one way you could do it. Take a trip to Galveston in the dazzling winter wonderland. Holidays in the gardens, this is called Iceland. So yeah, you can go there and just see the lights and everything, but that Iceland pole to pole is open at Moody Gardens. The attraction has different animals, an ice slide, and a bar. The Festival of Lights, of course, features ice skating, train rides, and more. Tickets for Iceland and dress really, really warmly. They start at $29 for adults and $24 for kids. Tickets for the Festival of Lights start at $25 for adults and $21 for kids. And I can tell you, I've done that ice slide thing. We went a few years ago when our girls were really little. It's colder than you think. It's brutally cold inside there. So it's quite the experience. Speaking of kids, when do you stop buying your kids Christmas gifts? I mean, I would say never, right? But more specifically, when is a good age to kind of slow down trying to spoil them? I think we're probably at that age in our household. A mom reached out for advice from social media. She loves to buy her kids, but she's wondering, okay, how long can I really continue to do this? Now, her kids are, air quote, 22, 23, and 29. They all have partners. They have kids. It's starting to get to be a little too much. Now, the comments to her answer were kind of split between never stop spoiling your kids and, hey, you know, they hit 18, time to stop. One mom says a family-wide Secret Santa with a price limit would be a good compromise. I'm at that point. I really do. Like, I think the Secret Santas are fun, and it might be a good way to not, you know, go broke. All right, so take a look at this. A UPS driver is helping keep a Christmas surprise an actual surprise. So this is Aubrey Jones. She says she noticed an unwrapped Barbie dream house outside of a family's home. She decided to cover it up because she didn't want the, Santa to, the child to know that Santa came early. Really saved the day there. So to prevent them from seeing their present, she quickly gained attention on social media by wrapping it up. I bet you this has happened to me sometimes. I don't know if this has happened to you. You order something kind of assuming it's going to come in a brown box or something, and it just comes in the box like you would get at the store. And that's not good. So anyway, great job there. Thank you for doing that. Save the day. All right, Santa comes to town in just a few days, and meteorologist Allison Gargaro has a preview of what we can expect.
Hey everyone, I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Allison Gargaro, and we have some very important guests that will be arriving in the skies come next week. Santa, so we're just wondering, what is Santa going to be flying through? And I think a lot of folks are just wondering, okay, what about my travel forecast? What can we expect? So I want to start with the chances of a white Christmas. Now, you can see with the asterisks here that this is not a forecast for December 25th, or really 24th into the 25th. What we are looking at is historical data of the cities, towns across the country that have the highest chance to even see a white Christmas, regardless of what the forecast is. And you can see folks that are shaded in this purple color here have the highest chance. And obviously that's going to be some of our cities that are furthest to the north across the country, but also the highest in elevation. So from the mountains in Colorado all the way up to some high peaks up in the Pacific Northwest, happening across the upper Great Lakes states and then even into the Northeast here. So again, this is not who is going to see a white Christmas. It's just these spots that usually in years past have seen snow on Christmas Day. Now, boy, I used to live in Michigan and it was so much fun when you actually got to see it. But folks who live south in Texas, you can see it's almost grayed out there. Yeah, not very likely, and especially this year, going to be pretty low-end chances. Actually, a good portion of the country is going to be seeing rather warm conditions the 25th through the 29th. Now, this does not mean that temperatures are going to be warm by any means. It's just showing that, hey, the temperature trend over this 4-day span, 25th through the 29th, temperatures do look to be above average. So for reference, our seasonal temperatures for this time of year, mid-60s. Let's call it 65. And our forecast temps for Christmas do seem to be trending a bit warmer than that. So there is a pretty good likelihood that us here in Southeast Texas will be seeing highs in the 70s for Christmas Day. So womp womp. We're not going to be seeing snow, and Santa does not have to worry about snow for us here in Texas. Now, during that same time frame, it does look like rain chances are going to be a bit elevated, not just in Southeast Texas, but across the midsection of the U.S. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the forecast. Again, things do change just a bit, but we're seeing that high pressure now. We're going to be monitoring a secondary front rolling through sometime a bit later Friday. Saturday, we're going to be seeing some of the coldest temperatures that we'll be experiencing this week. You know, we already have seen some pretty chilly mornings in weeks past, so it's not necessarily going to be the coldest, but hey, for us, it is cooler weather, and I think folks are looking forward to it. Some clouds Monday, and we actually could be seeing some of that rain roll in Tuesday into Wednesday, and it looks like my graphic did not want to load there, but along with the clouds, it does look like some showers will be possible when we head into Santa arriving across Southeast Texas. Now, I know we're still a few days out, but for any of the kiddos that are watching, you might be wondering, okay, well, what is Santa going to be seeing at the North Pole first off? And it's going to be very cold as he is flying out and into portions across the United States. And speaking of, what can Santa expect as he is going across the entire United States? So this is just a preview of our Santa tracker. We're going to be nailing down the actual temps for you. But right now it looks like New York City, when Santa is flying through early Christmas morning, we're likely going to be seeing temps in the 30s. For Houston, early in the morning, we're talking 50s and 60s. So it's not going to be super cold for Santa, but hey, something that we're watching closely. Denver, likely going to be in the 40s with those cloudy skies overnight, and then partly cloudy in San Francisco, another round of the 40s. Remember I mentioned that the overall outlook of temperatures for this time frame is going to be air quotes on the warmer side. Well, we're talking 40s in San Francisco. And of course, I had to add Honolulu to this. When Santa goes to Hawaii, he's probably going to want to take a pit stop. But he'll be, after all of his hard work on Christmas, he'll be heading out there for vacation. And temperatures are going to be pretty warm in the morning. Looks like partly cloudy to mostly cloudy with temperatures in the 70s. So again, the forecast subject to change, but it's always fun to see what Santa could be flying through and what you can expect for your Christmas coming up in just a few. Hope you guys are enjoying forecasting with friends, and we'll have much more